Are you tired of watching your pepper plants grow tall and spindly while producing disappointingly few peppers? If you've been struggling with leggy plants that seem more interested in reaching for the sky than filling your harvest basket, you're not alone. The secret to transforming your pepper plants from underwhelming towers into productive bushy powerhouses lies in understanding the art and science of pepper topping, and more importantly, knowing exactly when to do it based on where you garden. Pepper topping is the strategic removal of the growing tip, or terminal bud, from your pepper plants to redirect their energy from vertical growth into lateral branching and fruit production. When you understand what's happening beneath the surface, this simple technique becomes a powerful tool in your gardening arsenal. The terminal bud produces hormones called auxins that suppress the growth of side shoots, creating what botanists call apical dominance. By removing this dominant growing tip, you're essentially telling your plant to wake up those dormant side buds and start branching out. This hormonal shift fundamentally changes how your pepper plant allocates its resources. Instead of pouring all its energy into growing taller, the plant redirects that energy into developing multiple stems, creating more nodes where flowers and eventually peppers can form. Think of it as encouraging your plant to become a productive bush rather than a single-stem tree. The result is often double or even triple the number of peppers compared to untopped plants, though the timing of this intervention is absolutely critical to success. Your geographic location plays a pivotal role in determining the perfect timing for pepper topping, and honestly, understanding your regional growing patterns is essential for success. In warm, frost-free regions like Southern California, Arizona, or South Florida, you have the luxury of a longer growing season that extends well into fall or even winter. In these areas, you can typically top your peppers when they reach 6 to 8 inches in height, usually about 4 to 6 weeks after transplanting, because you have months ahead for the plants to recover and produce multiple flushes of fruit. Gardeners in temperate zones with distinct seasons, such as the Midwest, Northeast, or Pacific Northwest, need to be more strategic with their timing. Here, the growing season is compressed, and every week really counts toward maximizing your harvest before the first frost. In these regions, topping should occur earlier, when plants are just 4 to 6 inches tall, to ensure sufficient time for branching and fruit development. The key is to top your peppers at least 10 to 12 weeks before your average first frost date, giving them adequate time to develop multiple branches and set fruit that will ripen before cold weather arrives. High-altitude gardeners face some unique challenges, with shorter growing seasons and that intense solar radiation. In mountainous regions of Colorado, Utah, or high-elevation areas of California, the combination of late spring frosts and early fall freezes creates an extremely compressed growing window. These gardeners often benefit from topping their peppers indoors before transplanting, allowing the branching process to begin in the controlled environment of a greenhouse or under grow lights. The physical act of topping peppers is surprisingly simple, but the technique you choose can really impact your plant's recovery and subsequent growth. The pinch method, using your thumb and forefinger to snap off the soft growing tip, works beautifully when your peppers are young and tender. This technique is gentle and creates a natural break that heals quickly, minimizing stress on the plant. For more mature plants or when precision is important, sharp, clean scissors or pruning shears provide better control and create cleaner cuts that heal faster. Always sterilize your cutting tools with rubbing alcohol between plants to prevent the spread of diseases. When making your cut, aim to remove just the top inch or two of growth, including any tiny flower buds that may have already formed. This might feel counterintuitive. Removing flowers when you want more peppers, but those early blooms rarely develop into quality fruit anyway, and removing them redirects energy into building a stronger plant structure. The timing within the plant's development cycle is just as important as the technique itself. The sweet spot for topping occurs when your pepper plant has developed its first set of true leaves beyond the cotyledons and has reached that 4 to 8 inch height range depending on your regional considerations. At this stage, the plant has established enough of a root system to handle the stress of topping, while still being young enough to respond, really vigorously with new growth. The relationship between topping timing and pepper flavor is a fascinating aspect that, honestly, a lot of gardeners tend to overlook. Peppers that are allowed to develop on well-branched, topped plants often show, more intense flavors and heat levels compared to those grown on single-stemmed plants. This enhancement actually happens because the plant's energy is concentrated into fewer, but higher quality fruits, and the improved light penetration throughout the bushier plant structure, well, it allows for better fruit development. So the timing of your topping directly influences not just the quantity, but also the quality of your harvest. When you top early in the season, you're actually encouraging the development of primary branches that will carry the bulk of your fruit load. These primary branches, in turn, will develop secondary branches, which creates multiple tiers of pepper production throughout the growing season. In regions with long growing seasons, this can result in continuous harvests from midsummer through the first frost. Now, for gardeners who are focused on specific pepper varieties, timing becomes even more nuanced. Hot peppers like habaneros, ghost peppers, and Carolina reapers really benefit from early topping because they naturally tend toward tall, sparse growth patterns. Sweet peppers like bells and banana peppers respond well to topping too, but may need some additional pinching of secondary growing tips throughout the season to maintain their compact, productive shape. Specialty varieties like shishito or padron peppers, they often perform best with minimal intervention. Usually they just need a little bit of light topping if they start to get too leggy. Understanding your specific microclimate, well, it goes way beyond just knowing your hardiness zone or the general characteristics of your region. Factors like how close you are to large bodies of water, elevation changes, urban heat islands, and even prevailing wind patterns, all of these really influence the best timing for topping your pepper plants. Coastal gardeners, for example, often deal with marine layer effects that can delay morning warmth and actually extend the growing season. This means you can be a bit more flexible with your topping schedules. On the other hand, desert gardeners have to manage extreme heat, which can really stress out recently topped plants. So it's crucial to do your topping sessions early in the morning or in the evening when it's cooler and the plants have a better chance to recover. In regions that are prone to sudden weather changes, like areas affected by monsoons, hurricanes, or even severe thunderstorms, the timing of pepper topping becomes, well, a calculated risk. Topping creates a bit of temporary stress on the plants, which actually makes them more vulnerable to those extreme weather events. So, savvy gardeners in these areas often keep a close eye on long-range weather forecasts, and they time their topping activities to, avoid periods when stress is predicted. Even with perfect timing, pepper plants can sometimes respond in unexpected ways to topping. And honestly, knowing how to troubleshoot these situations can really save your growing season. Wilting immediately after topping is pretty normal, and usually resolves within about 24 to 48 hours as the plant adjusts to its new growth pattern. However, prolonged wilting or yellowing leaves may indicate that the plant was stressed before topping, or that environmental conditions aren't optimal for recovery. Some pepper varieties are naturally more sensitive to topping than others, and recognizing these differences helps you adjust your approach. Thick-walled bell peppers and other sweet varieties typically handle topping well and recover quickly. Thin-walled hot peppers and ornamental varieties may show more dramatic stress responses, but with proper care, they usually bounce back. So, the key is providing consistent moisture, protection from extreme temperatures, and, gentle fertilization during the recovery period. Occasionally, topped pepper plants will, produce an abundance of vegetative growth at the expense of fruit production, and this is a condition known as going to green. This usually happens when topping is combined with high nitrogen fertilization, or when plants just aren't getting enough sunlight after they've developed that bushy structure. The solution here involves reducing nitrogen inputs and making sure there's adequate light penetration, which you can do by selectively pruning some of those interior branches. Your journey to pepper growing mastery really starts with understanding these regional variations and the best practices for topping timing. Just remember, every garden is unique, and developing your own timing instincts comes from observation and experience. Start with these guidelines, but always pay attention to how your specific varieties respond in your particular growing conditions. Don't forget to subscribe to Smart Garden for more in-depth growing guides, and hey, share this video with fellow gardeners who want to maximize their pepper harvests. Your engagement helps us create more valuable content for our gardening community, and together we can all grow better gardens.